Welcome to an introduction of Microsoft Excel 2016. I'm your host, Star, and this session is hosted or funded, under a grant contract with the state of Tennessee. Thank you, Sweet Home, Tennessee. Let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to cover in a short period of time. So first thing I'm going to do is go to our desktop search and type in Excel. Here you'll see the Excel app. It's a green with an X indication. Go ahead and either click on it or move your mouse to it and double click it. And from here, we are going to go to the left column and click on New. I'm going to pause for a moment here just to get your bearings there. And so once we have the new open, the new field, we're going to go ahead and choose a new blank because we need to cover some of the basics of the application, which is the Excel. Microsoft Excel. All right, so we have our Microsoft Excel, and the first thing we see is the ribbon quick access toolbar. So this right here is the quick access customizable toolbar, and really it's designed to help you quickly find the commands that you need to complete a task. Commands are organized in logical groups, which are collected together under tabs. So each tab relates to a type of activity, such as formatting or laying out a page. So if we look at the home here, we see within the home tab, we have our fonts, we have our font size, we have our formula bar. This is our formula bar here, where we type in our, equal, sum, and whatever the formula is. A couple indication on the right-hand side here is the collapse the ribbon. You see that option on your end. To the right of it is your vertical scroll. So this is considered your vertical scroll, going up and down. Let me expand this so we're looking at the entire screen. Okay, so this is the bar I'm referencing. Okay, at the bottom right-hand side of our sheet, let's move this up, is our zoom. So if we need to zoom in, let's go ahead and just enter some figures here, and we'll do equal, sum, equal, sum, parenthesis, and all that, and then parenthesis to close it. And so there is our sum, right? Our total sum. Now, as I was saying, this is our vertical scroll. This is our zoom right here. So if we need to zoom so we can see the numbers up close, that's how we go about it, using our zoom bar. Okay. These are our page layout as we had described. This is our normal page layout. This is our page layout when we print it, what it looked like. And this is the web page layout. So we're going to go back to our normal layout here. The bottom left-hand side, we see our sheet. So the sheet is going to be the name of the file. We can always rename it by selecting it and go into rename. And we can call it whatever we want it to be. We can add as many sheets as we would like. There's no limits that I'm aware of. The tell me is really nice and handy. So if you are looking for something and you're not sure, see that all the way in the top, it says tell me what you want to do. So maybe we're looking for freeze, sure, freeze panel. Where is that? So you see what it did? It froze it for us. So you can, you know, look for remove sheets. You can just type in really anything you're looking for in the tell me field. So these are all the elements that we're looking at of our screen. Some other functions to be aware of within the file menu. Let's go to our file menu. And so here's where we went to the new to open one. Open is assuming we already have an existing file that we want to open that we've previously worked on. We can save the file. We can look at the information. So the logistics of the file, the author, if you want to protect the workbook and all that good stuff, you can export the file and you can export it and create a PDF document. You can share the file. The options at the bottom gives us the Excel options. So we have our generals, the formulas, the proofreading, the save approach, all the accessibilities, including the advanced features and how we want our customized ribbon to be displayed. So the customized ribbon on the top, this is where we get to choose what we want from the left column to the right column. So if we want the sum to be added, we can bring it over. Nope, a command can be added, of course. How about open? Maybe, let's see. Nope, open can be added, of course. So there's some that are limited by functionality, or they may already be here because they're within the file tab. But anything that has a plus sign is expandable. So if we go to cell, we see insert. Insert has all these insert rows, the styles, the conditionings. There's a lot to be done within the Excel option feature. And if we've made changes and somehow it's seemed to have screwed up some kind of settings within our Excel workbook sheets, know that you can always come here and reset it. So you can always come here and reset all customizations, and this will, you know, reset everything, and you can just say okay. So everything is reset to its original setting. Let's see. So essentially the file menu allows you to find the commands like open, save, file, print, and all that. And the tell me, as I mentioned, is a nice feature to have. Once again, it's worth re-mentioning again here. The tell me is essentially a text field where you can enter words and phrases about what you want to do next and quickly get to features you want to use or actions you want to perform. You can use tell me to find help about what you're looking for, or to use smart lookup to research or define the term you entered. So that's always nice. Keep that in mind. And remember, as I mentioned with the Word document, when it comes to the zoom, let's re-enter a few figures here, just some random digits, just to get some numbers. All right. So the zoom field, keep in mind that the zoom itself is, in theory, what we're doing here. So this is not a valid number. There we go. Now with the zoom, when you're zooming in and out, really what we're doing is just allowing to quickly expand the image, the worksheet. Okay, so we're not resizing the entire worksheet itself, just the data, the worksheet within the data entries. All right, now let's bring it back to the normal sizing here. Let's see what to cover next. When selecting a cell, so these are considered cells. Okay, so if we select a cell, we can move cell content. So I can move this, the 126, once I have my cursor like that. See how it kind of moves to a cross double arrow. Now I can move that up. There we go. See how I just moved it there. Now we can add these numbers. So if we do equal sum of these three numbers, and then we can close it by that bracket and hit enter, and there's our total. Now the total can be, modified if we want to adjust the border, right? Maybe we want it to be a thick border because it's a total. But in theory, we're just talking what they are, okay? So to activate an auto refill cell, auto refill would be to replicate the numbers. So that's replicating the number. If we have a number that's needing to be entered over and over, move your mouse to that cell and then come to the corner till you see that kind of little plus sign to the corner. You can drag this as far as needed and it's gonna replicate it, okay? You can move the cell contents, as I said. So if they're highlighted, if we highlight, say these, we can move those cell contents to here. See how I just kind of chunked those cells to there, okay? Entering text. So when we're entering a text in a cell, right? So we're entering a text in a cell. Any items that are not to be used in calculations are considered, in Excel's terminology, labels. So this would be considered a label. This includes numerical information such as a phone number or zip codes. Labels usually include the title, columns, and row headings. So here, if we click on a cell, and as you can see, we entered the word hello and we hit enter. By default, pressing the enter key will move you to the cell below the active cell. So the label actually lives in the cell you typed it into. If you type long text in it, it appears to be multiple columns. So let's say if we type hello, hello sunshine, thank you for shining, thank you for your light of love, right? You see what happened with the text? So we wrote a text, but it appears that it's all the way, but it's really within the cell of E4, that this whole text, because we can just come to this G4, see what happens? Starts cutting it off because we overwritten it. So what happens in that situation when we're dealing with this? We want to highlight all the cells necessary for that column. So it would be all these cells, cell E4 to I4. And so by doing this, we can then come to our word wrap, which is the merge and self and center. See how it merged it and centered it? And we can change the style to a title. And so I wonder where, all right, so I started here. Let's see how it didn't. All right, now I need to merge the cell. It's acting funky. All right, let's undo. And what we need to do is this, because we need to give it ample room. And so we're going to merge it. Now we're going to go to the cell type. And so we can give it the title. And you get the idea of that, right? We can play with that all day. So entering values. We've entered some digits here, some random digits. But let's say we're looking for an actual form that we're going to be working on. Now that we know a little bit as far as the document, same as Word document, here's the option to share, where you can share it as a collaboration work project. The save is the same functionality as Word, in the save as. So let's go back to new. And this time, let's say that we're looking for a specific project. Let's say we're looking for something personal, working on some kind of personal budget. Look at that, a personal monthly budget. Perfect. We'll go ahead and click on that. And yes, we want that to open. And so let's make sure we have that screen. Yep, I believe it is. Excellent. Okay, so let's move this out of here. And so here is a little bit about this template, right? This just gives you a review, some additional notes about it. And then if we click on the start personal monthly budget, after the start sheet is the personal monthly budget. Here's the start, gives you a little bit about the template and the personal monthly budget. So what's nice about the pre-populated budget is that here we get a pop-up that you can create your budget, and you can have helpful instructions on how to use the worksheet and how to use the cells and columns and row and get started. That's great. So we can just address that. And so if we're looking to say center personal budget for presentation, we can go ahead and do so. If we're looking to change the style of it, we can do so. We can leave it as it was and maybe change the font of it. All right, so we have this line highlighted, and we can do background up. This is going to take us to the web. We don't want that. And so here's our coloring. That's what I was looking for. And we can change our to a grayscale, blue, orange, red. And you get the idea. This is where you can navigate with the coloring. So that was in the page layout. And then I went to colors, and these are all the options that we have available to us. And we can also customize our own color. Okay, that option is available here. The next thing we can do within the formula, we can look at some of our recently used items. These are the most commonly used formulas: our count, our sum, the average, if, the hyperlinks, the max, the sin, the sum if, and so forth. Some financial documentation that might be relevant, date and time if you need to stamp it. More functions available here, statistical, cubes and engineering, compatibility. You can go to the web and look for further functions. There's so much to do. So, and you can also review the document and you can protect your worksheet. So once again, if we're dealing with a confidential document and we want to protect it, we can protect the worksheet. Now, when I say worksheet, we're only talking about this worksheet, okay? So if I have multiple worksheets, I'd want to protect the workbook. So the workbook would be the entire document, okay? Here's our start linking, hide linking, our spell check to the left under review, translation. All right, now that we have our document open, let's go ahead and do some more function settings within the document. Let's look at copying some formulas, okay? So we look at this formula and it's the sum, which is equal sum, and in parentheses, they have to be opened and closed. And then you're giving the range of cells. So from cell 1, cell C1, or correction, cell C4, goodness, cell C5 through 6. So 5 and 6 is the total, which is right there. That's our sum. I just missed the formula, I think. Let's step out of that. False. Yes, I know it's false. All right, let's go ahead and just undo. Okay, so there's our formula. It highlights it in blue. The blue highlighted is the indication of the 2 cells that are added. And this is our formula, the equal sum, open and close, C5 colon C6. So you can just highlight it. So for example, if we are, say, copying this number, those numbers, we'll paste them there. And let's say we're also copying these numbers. So I'm doing Control C to copy, paste, and then Control V to paste over. And then let's say we want to do the sum of all that, then what you do is this here, and then just close it. And so there is our sum of all these cells, which is the I4 through I7. Okay, now, so that's that. Also keep in mind that within the application, if the Microsoft Excel, let's go to home. Here is our editing. So here's the sum formula. So in theory, if this was, let's delete that, right? So if I had not done that, we can come here, click on this, and see how it auto highlights it, hit enter, and voila, same thing. Right? So multiple ways to getting the same results that we're looking for. Okay. All right, let's see. What if we want to, say, create a auto sum? So an auto sum means it would automatically add it for us, the line. So let's go ahead and use, too move far in, let's use these numbers. And so if we want to copy these, let's just copy that. Okay, move them here. Now the cell's not big enough. There we go. I just made it. So to make it big enough, the cell, come between your cells till you see that, and then you double click it, and then it will auto size it. But I want it to be more bigger just so we can view it more as far as presentation purposes. Now, in here, let's look at the auto sum. So as I mentioned, we already know we did this using the formula here, using the pre-populated automatically added sum, but we wanted to also auto add here, right, as we continue the numbers. So what we do, if we want to carry this formula, is come to the corner and drag it. And so look what happened. It added the cells, auto added the cells at 0 value. And the total of this is going to be identical to this because we copied these numbers. So here we are. All right, so that's the auto sum. It's the same function of auto filling, meaning if we copy this, if I paste it here. So auto filling and auto sum really are in the same verbiage. So as long as we move our cursor to the corner till we get that, and if we drag it, that number is going to replicate. See? So with the auto sum, the formula is going to replicate. So that's what's happening when you're dragging it. You're dragging the formula across, telling the program, carry this formula, whatever the total of all these columns were. That's why we get a 0 for this column. We got identical this column to this, and then 0 for this column. Let's see. The next thing we want to do with here is to look at our saving worksheet. So before we save the worksheet, just to make sure, auto function or the auto sum function automatically looks for the cells that have the values in them. Okay, it will read values until it finds the first blank cell. So auto cell will always look for values in the cell above it first, then to the left. This means that you need to be aware of what cells will be in the formula. Auto sum will select the range of cells to use in the formula by highlighting the range, and then you press enter. Now, saving the cell. Saving the cell begins because this is a new cell. We want to go to a workbook, go to file, and then we're going to go ahead and do save. And when we do save, we're presented to where we want to save it. So let's go ahead and browse, and we will save it to our quick access desktop class document. That's personal, maybe me. So we'll drop it in that folder, and then we'll go ahead and hit save. Okay. Now, if we close this, we should be able to see that document. We'll go ahead and close that. We don't need that. And we can minimize this. We should be able to see. Up there it is, our personal document. And so it's loading. Let's make sure it's still sharing the screen. Excellent. Okay. Now, next thing is we reopened the file that we just saved. The next thing is editing cells. So cell provides a major enhancement over earlier spreadsheet products in its ability to edit cells easily. There are various methods for cell editing, including double clicking in the cell, using the F2 function key, and typing in the formula bar. So to edit a cell in the worksheet, you want to position your F2 key on the keyboard or double click in the cell. For example, if we want to activate this, double click on it. So now this cell is active, and see how the cursor is ready for me to make whatever correction I need to that income. And of course, you can also click on the cell you would like to edit, and then the formula bar and make the necessary changes. Meaning if we click here, we can come to the formula bar and make whatever changes we need. And we see that replication here. So that's that. The undo. Now, Excel and other window applications have a convenient method of correcting mistakes, knowing as undo. I think we're very familiar with the undo features. There, we can also use the Control Z to undo. Control Z to undo certain things. You can undo as many typos or entries, as many entries you've made. Okay. The undo button has a small down pointing arrow next to it, as you can see. It will display a list of actions that can be undone. Redo works in the same way, allows you to repeat actions. So if we undo something, here's the redo. We can redo the action. Excel will also undo actions in reverse chronological order, meaning that the most recent command is reversed first, then the one prior to that, and so on. You cannot reverse an earlier action while using undo without first undoing the actions that were performed after it. Okay. Now, keep in mind that the list of commands, the commands that I'm referencing here on the top left-hand side, to undo is reset, is the reset after the file is saved. So you cannot use the undo to fix an error after the file is saved. Okay, that's to undo a command, you have to click undo, but once you saved it, there is nothing to undo. Clearing a cell, you can clear multiple cells using the cell editing feature here. You can come here to the delete cells, delete worksheet, you can delete columns. But this is where you can access that from the drop down. Formatting values. So we can format values if we come back to our extra income here. And when I say formatting, we're looking at the home and we're focusing on this window here, the font, the bold, the italic, the underline, the highlight. So if we wanted to highlight that figure, extra income, if we wanted to see what other options are available, we can click on that. And here now we see our numbers. We can change the currency to accounting. We can look at our borders. We can do our fill in here, and we can also protect and lock the file, the workbook. Now, using the format painter, which is this right here. So if we double click on that, we'll bypass that. Creating a basic chart. So if we're looking to creating a basic chart, let's go ahead and move this dialog window. And so in creating a chart, we want to go to File and up back in the File. Oh, I'm sorry, Insert. Within the Insert tab, because we're inserting a graph. In here, we have all our chart options. We have the recommended charts. We got some insert columns and bar charts. There's the insert line area. We have our pie chart. We scattered chart and so forth. The previous chart. Let's go ahead and just chart something, let's say we want to chart our income, our projected income, and let's do it in a that. So see what it's sectioned it in threes, and we can change our mapping, coding colors if we're unhappy with that. And we can minimize it a little bit, and we can make it fit our page. So we need to move our, maybe we need this entire in a new sheet, and we can do that. So here we have our chart, and we can manage our chart as far as the layout, and the options available would be, open at that, colors. There you go, colors. And you can play with the colors as far as the options available to you. And the effects, if we need to add any kind of reflections. Let's see where we are with timing. All right, we're getting there. Now, saving a document, we're getting close to the session ending here. We have our chart, but this is a sheet 1. So let's go ahead and rename this. And to do that, we're going to right click on it, rename, and we'll call this charts, right? So we'll call that charts, and maybe we also wanted to color code that something different. So we can do that. There, this is the color yep, so it made it bold. All right, so there it is. There's our chart. And if we want to go back to our personal and also chart our actual income, we can do that. We can highlight that, come here, go to insert, and we can come to the pie, and we can do that, and we copy that chart from here and come to our charts. And so we have our so this is where we undo, and goodness for undo, right? And so for comparison purposes, when we're working with something like this, you can see your really this is the title. So we need to get rid of that, but you get the idea. This does not need to be there. But it's divided into the 3, as you can see, right? And we can see comparison next to each other. Now, if we go back to our personal budget, and let's say we need to do some coloring, we can also do that. We can give it a light background drop. We can look at the page layout, and we can also change the coloring of it. We can make this bold, but I believe it already is bold. Yep, it is already bold. We can come to our income, and we can use our borders and give it a thick bottom double border. See, making it more of a total total amount. So we can do that for this as well by coming here. And so it just replicates it. It looks cleaner. The difference, maybe we want to highlight that. It's already bolded, but maybe we want to make it stand out because there's a huge difference, right, between the projected and actual. And again, this is a pre-populated formula or template, I should say, by coming to the new and then going to the online template search, and you can search, or you can come to the calendars, charts, budget list, planners, trackers, personal, and so forth. So if we're looking for budget related worksheets, we can focus on that. And that's what we had worked on today's project, the monthly personal budget. But as you can see, there's so many other options: party planner, checklist, channel marketing budget, budget summary report, the food budget, expense budget are always nice to have. And there's our simple budget. Let's look at that. So our summary of our monthly income and our monthly expenses. So this is the summarized worksheet. Let's bring this up and have print view. Let's see for the print. So when we go to file and print, this is what it would be. Okay, this is the simple monthly budget of our income and our expenses. Let's see, print active sheet, print entire workbook. So keep an eye on the settings when it comes to printing our sheet or workbook, because as you saw, it defaulted to print the active sheet, okay, which means it's going to print our income and expenses, right? And then we see the total summary here, balance. But if we click on the drop down of the settings, we have the option to print the entire workbook. And what happens when we do that? On the bottom, now we have 3 pages. We would have missed out on page 2, which is monthly income breakdown. And then page 3, our timer. Page 3 is our monthly breakdown expenses, which in reality speaking, it's already summed up here in the graph. It's not broken down, but the total is here, the income and expenses. All right, so that sums up the class. Let's go ahead and save it. So if we go to File, Save, the recent place we saved it was here, and that's what it was called. So we will say yes to that. Save it to this desktop, and we'll save it in Me. And so this would be a different one because it's the simple budget, and this was personal budget. They're 2 different budgets, just to demonstrate the opening of them. All right, now to sum it up, let's go ahead and review the one-on-one free sessions that are available to you and how to go about accessing them. So once again, thank you for being here. And this is for the East Polk Public Library. Their one-on-one free sessions, topic of your choice, are held on the 3rd Thursday of each month from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Their phone number is 423-548-4004. And their hours are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern time, and Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And they're closed on Sunday. Once again, thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to our future sessions and have a wonderful day.